Rasmussen, founder of ESPN, now College Fans founder, which is collegefans.com. And we're here at the Princeton Sports Symposium. And you're about to give a talk in 20 minutes, right? And what are you going to talk about?
We're going to talk, my particular area is going to be the perspective of sports and where it's been and where it's going. So they want perspective. I go a long way.
Right. Is this online or just like technology based, or
no? This is
just perspective overall.
Overall, yeah. What is, from the time that I got out of the Air Force in the mid-50s, what has happened to sports and where is it going? Well, that's a long perspective.
And where is it going in a brief 30 seconds?
Up.
Up.
How's that for being
okay?
No, I believe sports cuts across all economic times. It cuts across all age, gender, cultures, whatever it is. Sports is the backbone of America. I mean, we turn to it when things are tough. We get a few hours.
Now, right?
Yeah, we get a few hours of pleasure on seeing our favorite team win or lose, whatever it might be. During wars, sports continue. I've watched Major League Baseball grow from 16 teams to what it is today. The NFL has come alive. The NFL didn't even really exist as it does today back in the 40s and 50s.
Right.
The NBA really just started in 1947. I was ready to go to college almost at that time. So I've seen a lot of it. It's grown, and I believe that as long as the only thing that slows people from going to the ballparks or the arenas or basketball games will be the ticket price. And I think everybody that runs sports is smart enough to realize that if they get too far out of line, people are not going to be there.
Right.
But that won't happen.
Sure.
Sports will live forever in the United States. We're a nation of sports fans.
Exactly. It's the backbone, like you said. So briefly talk about why you wanted to start ESPN and how it kind of came about.
Well, it was really easy. I got fired from my job with the Hartford Whalers. I had to do something, and starting ESPN sounded like a good idea.
Right.
That wasn't really the case, but I was fired on Memorial Day of 1978. Had to do something, and we had been talking about doing some cable work in Connecticut with the Whalers, the team that I was playing with. So it just seemed a logical continuation, and a series of conversations led us to think that we could do anything. I always felt we could do anything, but I found out now with a satellite I really could.
Right.
And so we had this what was termed rather off-the-wall idea of sports 24 hours a day. There were no sports networks. There were no 24-hour networks.
Right.
Even HBO was only on 5 hours a night. CNN didn't exist. MTV didn't exist. The only competition were the 3 networks, and they were easy.
Yeah.
They only had 25 football games a year, and I was talking about doing that in a weekend. So,
right, exactly.
And so it took us we incorporated in July of 1978, and we went here in September of 79. So a lot of things happened during that stretch.
Right.
We got money and programming and a satellite, and it all came together.
Sure. So how important was your network at the time? I mean, you'd had, I think, 6 different companies before that, or you'd had a number of companies you'd worked with before that. How important was networking? The people you brought on board to help you get ESPN started, how important was that?
Well, every time you start a business, you're going to find that you make mistakes.
Sure.
And one of the mistakes you make is somebody will say something negative and you back down and say, gee, maybe he's right. Maybe it's not going to work.
Right.
Most important thing I learned was to ignore all those people.
Okay.
And I have done that ever since.
That's right. And people said ESPN was never going to work, right?
Oh, yeah.
Over and over.
Over and over and over again. And I think the most ambivalent thing that I heard, just a sliver of hope, was one veteran at TCI was the cable system. I don't even know what it's called today, but it was a big one at the time in Denver. And he said, he was a broadcast veteran, and he said, I can tell you this is never going to work. He said, I'm just going to be upfront with you, it's never going to work. But if it does, I want to be your first customer.
And this was a guy in the industry.
In the industry.
Said it's never going to work, but if it does,
I want to be the first. Well, he wasn't the first customer, but he was the third.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Right.
But that's the way everybody approached it. It was, we went out there, and I thought that was just a phenomenal idea to offer 24 24 hours of sports for 1 penny a day, 30 cents a month for a cable system, and they'll give you 24 hours.
Wow.
They said, you're out of your mind. We're never gonna, who's going to pay 30 cents? We're never going to do that. I said, you'll be able to sell advertising locally. They said, we don't sell local advertising. One fellow said he would never sell local advertising because he had to hire a salesman.
Heaven forbid.
Well, heaven forbid. Yeah, you have to hire a guy and pay him a commission. So those were the kinds of things we went to, but it was constantly, it's never going to work, it's never going to work. People just didn't understand the tremendous power that the satellite in the sky gave us.
So when was your first break? I mean, when did it start to take notice? People started to realize that this could work, that people were watching this?
Well, the first Final Four that we did, the March Madness, as it's known today, back then it wasn't. They couldn't even, believe it or not, in 1980 I went to the Final, 1979, sorry, I went to the Final Four, and games weren't sold out.
Really?
Because they just didn't have the coverage.
Now it's $1,000 a ticket.
Yeah, that's right. And we did all the games that NBC didn't do in the 1979-80 season. People were amazed. They were astounded that we did teams that they had never. If you lived east of the Mississippi, you didn't know anybody west of the Mississippi, and vice versa. And so that was the single thing that put it on the map from a games point of view. And the other thing, and to this day, the staple was Sports Center. Sure. That was another thing that people said was never going to work. We said we're going to do 30 minutes of news, but it's all sports news. Better than that, we're going to do it at 6:30 at night in the Eastern Time Zone opposite NBC, ABC, and CBS evenings. They said, now you have to understand, that's just never going to work. Right. Guess what? They've changed anchors. The network's viewership has gone down, and then Sports Center is the longest running program and has done more episodes than any program in the history of television. Wow. So that's quite a statement. Wow. They are around, and they're going to stay around.
Okay. So let's move, fast forward 28 years later to the day you started collegefans.com, right?
Right.
28 years to the day, which is June, July?
September 7th.
September 7th, I know.
September 7th.
And what's the significance to that? And what is College Fans?
Well, the first significant thing is we want to take advantage of just being able to mention ESPN. Okay. You know, everybody knows ESPN.
Right.
But the purpose for College Fans was to fill a void that ESPN simply can't get to. ESPN is a juggernaut. Right. They are so big they can't get to all of the scores for all of the schools, and they don't have a social networking component where fans can come in and post their favorite videos or still photos or whatever and have a conversation. So what we wanted to do, and we have done, is create a site that has 1,440, in fact, home pages, college pages for 1,440 schools in the country, and we have a page for every sport played at every one of those 1,440 schools, over 22,000 pages. Wow. Where fans can go in and interact, post photos, videos, blogs, have a discussion, whatever they want to do. None of that could happen on ESPN because they're not there. It's not what they do.
They're going for the top stuff, the biggest. Yeah.
Well, and we're not competing with them. We're not bidding for rights to do the USC Notre Dame. Sure. We're just showing a part of what college life is in America.
Besides the top, top 25 football teams.
Everybody that plays at an AI school or Division III school or Division II school, they play just as hard.
Yeah.
They are
sacrifice.
Fiercely competitive. Their families, their friends, their alumni, they're amazingly committed. Right. And they have no place to say anything. We give them that place. That's what College Fans is all about.
Well, it's starting to get a little busy here right now, so we'll look out for more stuff from College Fans in the future, and that's really time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rose.